Hello, this tutorial is on the credibility of information and the CRAP test. The CRAP test goes through four main areas: currency, reliability, authority, and purpose point of view. We have gone through currency and reliability in a previous tutorial. This tutorial will focus primarily on authority and purpose and point of view. For the area of authority, there are three main sections of questions. The first section asks, who is the creator or author, what are the credentials, and who is the publisher or sponsor. When dealing with a specific author, we want to look into their background. We want to know if their focus, if their expertise is on the field of study that we are researching. So we can look and see what they've previously written. We can look at their credentials to see what it is that they studied in themselves. And we can look at the publisher or sponsor to see what it is that the publisher is focusing on. All of this will lend us to see whether or not they should be talking about what it is that they're talking about. So if we are looking at a chemistry example, we want a chemist or other known scientist with a chemistry focus to be part of the research team. We don't want to be taking chemistry advice from a PhD in economics. The credentials, the publisher, and the previous work all play into whether or not they have the expertise. Second, we want to look and see if they are reputable. Once we've looked at their previous work and their credentials and the publisher or sponsor, we can see further on whether or not they're reputable. We can look and see if they have often provided good citations, if they back what they're saying with fact, if they are providing timely information. This is where we connect the previous areas in the CRAP test to what we are currently looking at. However, it is important to note that an editorial process or a peer review process takes some of the burden away from proving authority in this regard, because the editorial and the peer review process is a rigorous process that makes imperative that trustworthiness and authority are paramount to what we're reading. They're going to make sure of that in their steps. The last set of questions we want to look at is, what is the publisher's interest in, if any, in this information, and are there advertisements on the website? So a publisher's interest can be twofold. They can be focusing solely on the information, or they can have an agenda that they're trying to set up. And we can look more at the agenda and their purpose in the next category. But it's important to note that we need to lay some groundwork for their authority based on the publisher's interest. And we can find a lot of this based on who they are. So if you are on a journal website, or if you're on any other website, go to the About Us page and see what their background is. See who the people in charge of the company are, see their mission, their interests, what it is that they're trying to do. Regarding advertisements on the website, this can be a very good indication of whether or not it's information-based. However, we can't discount any website that has advertisement. simply because business is business and there needs to be a way to make money. Purely academic interests tend to not have advertisements because they are solely in it for the information aspect. However, very reputable mainstream business and information sources can still have advertisements, but look to see if the advertisements um, relate to what you're looking at, or if they're just advertisements related to anything in general. That will help you determine the reliability and the authority for what you're looking at. The second area we're going to look at today, and the last area of the CRAP test, is purpose or point of view. And here there are three main questions. Is this fact or opinion? Is it biased? And is the creator or author trying to sell you something? As I mentioned previously, you're almost always going to find opinion in what it is that you are reading. You are also almost always going to find bias. It is very difficult to not include bias into what it is that you are writing. It is possible, and the less bias and opinion you find, the greater information base and purpose of information quality that you will discover in the source. But your job as researchers is to determine what is fact and what is opinion and what the bias is. Because once you can determine where the opinion is and what the bias is leaning towards, you can take that out and see what other facts and what other information is still available. And finally, you want to check and see if they're trying to sell you something. Because if they're trying to sell you something, it's not in their best interest to give you all of the information. So make sure that their purpose and their background is not in a for-profit organization. Because if their goal is to sell you something, then their goal is to get your money no matter how they see that deemable. Some people will do this in a very trustworthy way and still give you the factual information, but that's not always the case. And so we want to make sure that we get our information from sources that are not trying to sell us anything in order to make sure that is purely for information needs. Thank you. If you have any questions, please contact the ICC Library.